All right, welcome back into the Dropkick Basement, your favorite pro wrestling history podcast. My name is Mike Madden on my end of things. Hope you guys are having a great day. We're going to bring on my tag team partner, Tom Schultz. June is upon us, Tom. We keep talking about the weather and we keep talking about the summertime, and so I hope it's ramping up for you on your end.
We're heading out for a bash at the beach today, Mike.
That's a good point, right? Yeah, a great American bash.
A great American bash at the beach for this Summer Slam.
You know what's funny is and not to get off topic before we even get on topic. I think there's a future episode to be had here where maybe we take AEW and we promote a great American bash of summer shows.
Like
now that they're into their unique venue era, because Lord knows that indoor golf event, the Fairway to Hell,
fantastic,
was so well produced. It looks so great. And then to turn that around at Double or Nothing at what was it? Louis Armstrong Stadium.
Yep.
And to have those unique sight lines and a amped crowd, I'm thinking AEW should do a Great American Bash, call it something else, obviously. And I think they're going to be doing a ballpark brawl sometime this summer too.
Yep.
Just start doing that. That should be their thing. You tape some matches, you do them on Fridays, or you do them on you can have some television baked in there, but they're extra matches, and you don't have to bring a whole crew. You can bring some of these things are, after a Twins game, half the crowd's going to be filing out, but then half of them are still going to stick around. But, you bring enough people to do 4 or 5 matches, and you tape a few of those for television and you show them, at various points on your YouTube. You could do that, literally anywhere. And I think that would be gold for them, to do a mini Great American Bash tour.
I think that is a fantastic idea. And I think that we should probably put that together this summer.
Yeah, yes, I think so. It would be, before it's too late, before it runs out.
Before they beat us to it.
Yeah, Tony's, he's thinking about that. He's got the sickos in mind. But this is the follow-up episode to the last episode, which was so excellently put together by yourself. The playlist of your favorite 2000s Indies matches. This time I get to take a swing at it. And I'm doing controversial angles that probably would not cut the mustard. Well, I shouldn't say cut the mustard, but probably will not be pulled off anytime in the future by any major promotion. And these are angles that incorporate a lot of elements that a major company that's got television would want to stay as far away from, and the elements to some of these angles, which are all compelling, and they're all some of these are famous angles that we've seen in highlight reels and in the making of the best of a company. Some of this stuff will come up, and I'm sure, Tom, you've seen a good amount of these. Plus, the listeners are probably familiar with a good amount of these. But there's also the element of maybe they went a little bit too far with this, or boy, this is really dancing on an edge, on a line of decency, or something that could really be taken the wrong way. So yeah, I mean that's the disclaimer, is that everything that I'm going to be talking about on my list and sharing on this playlist is going to be a little bit controversial in nature, and some viewer discretion will be advised.
After taking a brief look at the playlist that you shared in the pre-show production, I'm familiar with most of them, but there are 1 or 2 that I am very, very excited to get the backstory on.
Okay.
For sure, because I'm not all that familiar with it. And watching it, I may not get the full context of just watching the video right now.
Yeah.
So the backstory to it, I'm looking forward to hearing.
That's what we're here for, is and that's what I'm here for, to provide my insight into some of the feud elements, some of the matchup elements that were encapsulated in or started with these angles, or were sort of like wrapped up in over a longer period of time. So there's 6 different angles that I've added to that playlist, just as a refresher to the listeners. All the playlists can be found on the YouTube page that we've created for Dropkick Basement. Tom's 2000 playlist is there. We will be adding more to that playlist in the future going forward for you guys to check out. And we're going to come up with really unique ones and share them on, as we gradually get through these, the ones we're thinking of in the upcoming months and longer than that. So it's a great element. This was a great inspiration that Tom had, is to start incorporating that YouTube page. Even though right now we can't really put episodes on there, we got to figure out technically if that'll be available for audio in the future. We can still kind of give you our wrestling memories through those playlists. So are you ready to start? Are you ready to hear where I'm going first?
I'm ready to get controversial.
Yeah, we're getting
parental discretion is advised.
Yes. So I'm starting off with this was the first one that I thought of, because it's a long held angle. It's one of the more fantastic angles that hardcore fans know about. And this was something that would be thrown on in a if you had a best of so and so compilation, or the history of territory wrestling. The angle revolves around the feud between, and this is in Continental Championship Wrestling, or the Continental Wrestling Federation, that was based out of the Alabama area, Pensacola, Florida, Dothan, Alabama was a big that's where they taped a lot of their television. They got into the Knoxville, Tennessee area time and time again. It was at the time that this went down, I believe the promotion was still owned and operated by the Fullers.
Okay.
And it's believed that Eddie Gilbert was hired as their booker and started as their booker the month that this angle was shot and put on TV. So when Eddie was alive, he would tell you, yes, I wrote the angle, because Eddie believes Eddie's the best. And his partner in crime at the time is Paulie Dangerously, and Paulie would tell you Eddie's the best. So those two blabbermouths telling you that this is a great angle. But it's from what I also understand, it came from the minds of the two men that were involved in the angle, Dr. Tom Pritchard and the dirty white boy Tony Anthony.
Okay.
You will know those names because they were basically married to each other on and off. We're talking about people that were married to each other on the last episode through the 2000s Indies. This is like the 2000 Indies version. So these two wrestled in Continental. They were Smoky Mountain famously, they were always intertwined in, either as teammates or opponents. They both spent time in the WWF under different gimmicks. So they're meshed together. USWA as well. So they had in the spring of 1988, Pritchard and Dirty White Boy have a hair versus hair match.
Okay.
And Dr. Tom is the big pushed babyface in the company at the time. And he gets the Duke and he gets to cut a little bit of Tony Anthony's hair. Not a great head of hair to begin with. Let's put it out there.
From what I've seen, pretty shitty head of hair.
Never good head of hair. Also, before he was the Dirty White Boy, he did wrestle under a mask as grappler number 2 with Len Denton. So also not a very attractive man without his mask on. And Dr. Tom is Dr. Tom. He always had beautiful, luscious hair. There's no way Dr. Tom was losing his hair.
Yeah. No,
Well,
no way.
that is until Vince told him to get a haircut to become Zip of the Body Donnas, but that's for a different.
Controversial in its own right.
That's for a different timeline. So you've got this feud. You've got this hair versus hair. Dr. Tom gets to cuts a little bit of Tony Anthony's hair. Doesn't give him the whole like head shaving thing, but cuts a little bit of his hair to humiliate him and send the fans home happy. The next week on television, the beginning of the show, Gordon Soley is your play-by-play guy with this other guy named Charlie, who I can't remember his last name, but he was like he ended up being like the main announcer in Continental for years and years. So they're at the desk, they're introducing the show, and Dirty White Boy had his real wife was his manager, the Dirty White Girl, Mystic. So she saunters onto the set, and she's standing next to Gordon Soley, and he looks over at her very shocked. She's got sunglasses on, but you can see that she's got a little bit of a black eye under the sunglasses. And Gordon it goes right into like protective dad mode, right? He's like, "Oh my God, Mystic, what happened to you? Are you okay? Blah blah blah." And she repeats the same line a few times. I came out here. I'd like to talk to Tom. And Gordon Soley's like, "Tom Pritchard, like, did he do this to you?" And she's like, "No, the Dirty White Boy did this to me because I didn't help him out, and it led to him losing and getting his hair cut. But I need to talk to Tom. I'd like to talk to Tom." All right, she keeps saying this over and over again. Soley sends Charlie over to the back to the dressing room to try to get Tom Pritchard to come out and to talk with her or to protect her or whatever it is. She's beside herself. Gordon's like, "Lady, this is terrible." Right? So he's really laying it on thick. Tom Pritchard does not want to come out. He sends Charlie back out. He's like, "I'm not dealing with this. This has nothing to do with me. I'm not coming out to talk to these people." Blah, blah, blah. Now Soley's saying, like, they go to a commercial. They come back from the commercial, and he's like, "You should really go to the police," and she's like,
"Oh my God."
Because he's like, now they're playing up the black eye. She took the sunglasses off. So she's playing it up, and she's like favoring her face and everything. She's really like acting very well. So Soley is still in protective father mode. Finally, Dr. Tom Pritchard comes out, and he's not happy with her. He's like, "Lady, whatever happened between you and the Dirty White Boy is between the two of you. I'm not getting involved. I beat him fair and square. I cut his hair. He's sort of like heelish and like callous in his reaction to it. And she's doing a great job of, they're on the set, but she's also like trying to like maneuver him so that his back gets exposed. And as she's doing that, she's sort of like leading him, kind of walking him away. She's kind of like convincing him, like, "Okay, maybe I can help you, or I can get you somebody to talk to." Blah blah blah. Now he's got his back completely exposed, and from off stage left, here comes the Dirty White Boy, brandishing a steel chair, wallops Dr. Tom Pritchard, lays him out. He's got his head he's got a do-rag, the fucking Confederate flag do-rag. God damn these people in the South. Well, he's a dirty white boy. He's a dirty white boy for a reason. So yeah, he's beating the shit out of Dr. Tom, and now the Dirty White Girl Mystic is clapping along. She's kicking Dr. Tom in the ribs. "You deserve this."
That dirty white girl.
He's getting the beating of his life. Soley's going bonkers because he's like, "This was all a ruse. This was all skullduggery." And it's a classic Gordon, like having a meltdown. And now they're throwing, and the set is like up against a loading dock. So they're pushing, like they throw Dr. Tom into the set, and like the whole thing like sort of collapses and exposes his loading dock out the back. The crowd's going nuts. Like this is like Heat City. And the people are just besides themselves that this couple would pull this and exploit the fact that she had a black eye, which is done with makeup, but exploit it to a point that like they they set Dr. Tom up. But it's not over yet because, and this is where I do believe Eddie Gilbert might have been booking at some point.
Wait, this is not the worst part of it?
Kind of not, because the dirty white boy gets a rope and puts it around Dr. Tom's throat and starts to drag him back towards ringside by the throat, hanging him, like, not hanging him, but like sort of like lynching him more or less, like as he's like dragging him through, and he's like
Jesus.
getting him back and giving him shots and bringing him back. The very climax of this is he over the ring post for everybody in the crowd to see. And now you have people like standing up, and like security was doing their best to hold these rednecks back. But you've got him, like, now he's hanging Dr. Tom. Dr. Tom's bloody. He's a mess. He's foaming at the mouth, and he's being hung. And the heels are winning the day. Finally, the baby faces come out of the locker room and free Dr. Tom from the perch and everything. And everybody is in stun shock. And the room, like, it basically like took all the air out of the room. Like the tension during the angle and how it whipped the crowd into a frenzy. This was, as I mentioned before, this was one of the most like hardcore angles that anybody had done. Like, and we'll have a few more that are in this list that are in this vein, but it was so shocking that the woman, again, you saw like valets like get their comeuppance. Either whether it's another valet or they took a spanking or a slap or whatever. This was the first time where they really pitted the female valet and put her, like, at the beginning of the show, you're sympathetic to her.
Yeah.
You're like, your boyfriend, the dirty white boy, is a scumbag because he laid his hands on you because you didn't help him avoid getting like 3 strands of his hair cut. Like, but then, by the middle of it, and obviously at the end of it, you're like, fuck these two. It's and that feud, I think, stretched the rest of the summer. And like I said, they had history through the rest of their career on and off, whether they switched babyface or heel or whatever it was. This was cemented in the fans of that area, in the southern part of the country, that knew of or had seen this on tape. Always remember, I'd like to talk to Tom, and how the dirty white girl set him up for the beating and the hanging of his lifetime.
This is one that I was not familiar with whatsoever. So this is something I definitely want to go back and check out, because that is masterfully done.
Yeah. Yeah. It hit on so many levels, and it was basically like anytime anybody did anything similar after that, it was always compared to, and Meltzer will tell you this, and a lot of other people will tell you that, like, this was like the baseline for a lot more edgy storylines that they would do in certain parts of the country, for sure. And they would, they would bring in elements to this angle, but there's nothing like that reaction of and especially the crowd was just like, they're in a hush at the very beginning, and they're so moltenly hot as the attack, and you hear women screaming and you hear men cursing, in the background. Like, it's such a powerful, like, reaction that it's one of a kind, and it's must see. Like,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. So we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna go to 1996 now. The ECW.
Okay.
The aforementioned Paulie Dangerously, aka Paul Heyman, a student of Eddie Gilbert, a student of Dusty Rhodes, if you will. And the ECW promotion, it's not like they shied away from doing stuff that was a little off the wall, a little too violent, a little too edgy in their own right. But the saga that was created, the storyline and the angles that were created around the feud between the ECW champion at the time, Raven, and the Sandman.
Oh God, yeah.
Were some of the most, like, it's layered storytelling, and there are elements to this angle that were just like so, like, that made you so uncomfortable and made you so, like, again, like, you really want to root for baby faces, like this was an angle in ECW where you really got behind the Sandman because Raven was owning him psychologically. And it all starts off Sandman at a time after he lost the world title. He had Woman as his manager. Basically turns babyface at some point in early '96 and is with Missy Hyatt as his manager. And Raven in promos is alluding to, and like he's got a few valets that like they kind of cycle in, Beulah McGillicuddy, Kimona Wanalaya. They're sort of like fizzling and fading those out because they want to tell a different story in the spring and the summer with Raven and Sandman. So during an episode of ECW television, Raven introduces his new valet is the Sandman's ex-wife.
Oh my God, yeah.
Miss Peaches, a.k.a. Lori Fullington. So now he's got, and Lori Fullington, another one who really played up her character well. Like she's like itching her arms like she's on heroin, and she's like dressed like a girl Raven, and she's got like basically like Courtney Love cosplay on 24/7, and she's like giving Sandman shit. You're a deadbeat father. Your kids never see you. You're a drunk. You're a barroom brawler. You're with the skank Missy Hyatt, and they do their cat fights and all that stuff. At some point, they shit can Missy, or Missy quit the company, and now it's just like it's Raven and Lori against the Sandman. Then Sandman's, I think it was his. I think he ends up having 3 kids, but Tyler is the one that they had on television, who was about 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, maybe.
And they had this kid on television, and he's now Raven's pawn. And he's cutting the promo, like, and these are all pre-tape promos. Like they had him in the arena, and he would like walk with his mom behind Raven, and Joey Styles would be the one that's going nuts. He's tearing Sandman's family apart. Raven, his quest to keep the belt is psychologically torturing the Sandman. And Tyler is little Raven now. He's got the leather jacket. He's got band T-shirts on. He's got little combat boots. Like he's like a little baby Raven. And there was, so there are 2 parts of this angle that stand out to me. One of which is the promos that like Tyler would cut on TV. I think they were at like his birthday party, and Raven's there and the Sandman wasn't there. He's like, my daddy's a drunk. I worship Raven. And Raven's just cackling in the background.
This is just good TV.
He's
wrestling aside. This is just good television.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like, I got you now, Sandman. Look what I did to your family. And like Raven's feud with Tommy Dreamer was sort of like, hey, we have the history of being like camp rivals, and a girl became between us, and I never liked you, you never liked me, and it was always sort of like brooding. And this is the first part where you see that like Raven is not just a brooding like Gen Xer, he's sinister.
Yeah.
And he's playing these psychological games and he's making Lori a druggie, and he's making Tyler worship him and dress like him. Fast forward to, I want to say October of 1996, and Raven and Sandman have a match, and where they have a pull-apart brawl. Now Tyler comes out and he's dressed like the Sandman. He's like, Daddy, I forgive you. I want to come back. And Sandman's like, Tyler, come back. Like, you're my boy, blah, blah, blah. Your mom's a bitch, but I love you. Like, and they have this big hug in the ring. I think Raven had been off television in like rehab or like nursing some injury or something for a while. And he might have lost the belt back to Sandman at that point, or Sandman got it back. But anyway, so this is his big return. And he, like, as Sandman is hugging Tyler in the ring, here comes Raven up from behind, swipes the Singapore cane, wallops Sandman in the back of the head, and is starting to put the boots to him. The rest of the Raven's flock, which is Stevie Richards, the Blue Meanie, and Supernova. They're all out to like lay waste to the Sandman and continue to beat him. Laurie's got Tyler in the corner, and he's still doing the Raven pose and everything. And a few moments later, from under the ring, they pull a makeshift cross.
Oh, yeah.
To crucify the Sandman. And they put a barbed wire crown of thorns on the man and tied him to it with and they again, going over the ropes with the pulley, just like you did with Tom Pritchard in the last angle. You're pulling ropes to like expose this hard cam on television, and the ECW arena, which would eat alive heels in this situation, has gone absolutely silent because it's like, what the fuck? Whose fucking idea was this? Uncomfortable. The side story is Kurt Angle had been in the arena because they were celebrating his Olympic win. They were trying to court him to have a match with Taz. He's backstage, like sitting in the Eagles Nest with Paul Lee watching this. And he's like, the fuck out of here. I am not coming to this company. Who the fuck do you think you are?
Why would you pick this show to bring it into?
Exactly. And it wasn't the end of the show. It was like middle of the show. So, Raven did have to come out and like give a half-ass apology, and like Stevie Richards and Blue Meanie both were like, oh, we didn't know it was going to get that much heat. We knew it was terrible, blah, blah, blah. But that's the encapsulation of not only the son betrayal, the ex-wife betrayal, but then the culmination of the crucifixion of the Sandman in the ECW arena are like, that's like, it's trigger happy when it comes to like, ooh, they got away with it, but they barely got away with it. And it was rough.
I understand why people were upset, but at the same time, like, it's ECW.
It's pro wrestling.
What the fuck? Like, dude, they do shit like this all the time in movies. What the hell is the difference?
I guess you can say that, but it's also like, that's the thing. It's live, so it's not like you stage. Yeah. It's not like you stage that as a pre-tape thing. You could have looked back at it and said like, or you could have tested it with like the boys or whatever and said like, ooh, no, this doesn't look like it's going to look great on television. They're doing all of this live. When it did air on television, it was like a clipped version. So they did not
100%. Yeah, because none of their shit was like live TV.
Right. But they had to edit it heavily so that it wasn't like too over the top offensive, but still like
I completely understand why it's offensive to some people. I love this angle. Yeah, I don't know.
It's wild, but
I like shit like this I love it. Mm-hmm. But I completely understand why some people. I didn't think that the ECW audience was somebody that would be offended by this.
Well, and maybe, I mean, that's the thing is like, I think judging by the live crowd's like stunned silence, it was more or less like, did we just put their heads in a pretzel? Like the bloodthirsty, like, maniacs that like come to our show, all sort of sat there with their hands on their mouth going like, what am I at?
Where am I?
Yeah. Can you get New Jack back out here and let him smash a guitar on somebody's head and let there be a puff of smoke? Make me feel better.
Yeah. Whoops. Wow.
So yeah, that's the second one on my list. Moving along, I'm going to go also in the year of 1996. This time in the World Wrestling Federation. A angle that is known as Pillman has a gun. So the backstory is Brian Pillman.
This is fantastic.
So Brian Pillman signs with WWF in, I want to say April or May of 1996. Guaranteed money. Gets into a couple car accidents like that year. Like really fucks up his ankle. And there were a couple times where like, all right, well, he's going to be well enough to like come back on TV, and then he re-injured the Angle in another car accident, and so he's having a hard time like staying on television. But he's still a compelling character, and we just still paid him a lot of money to be here. So he's kind of like, so Steve Austin had won the King of the Ring in June of '96, and he had started with Austin 316, and now you've got something that's like catching fire, like immediately, like you see the signs are starting. The catchphrases all over the place. They're like pushing it like crazy. People love the promo that he had at the after the King of the Ring was over. So Steve Austin is getting on the radar, right? And the one thing that is kind of like counter to what WWF always did is they actually acknowledged that Austin and Pillman were formerly a tag team. That they were together in WCW. I don't think they said specifically WCW, but they were like, hey, these guys were a team, and they have they've shared history, blah, blah, blah. So at first they're kind of like, they're trying to coax Bret Hart out of his, not retirement, but they're trying to coax him back to the World Wrestling Federation. So Steve could have the match with him. And they're cutting promos on Bret on TV, disparaging him, really like putting the heat on Steve Austin, and hoping that like by the time they get to the SummerSlam, Bret's going to be back and we're going to be ready to roll. Like I said, because Pillman wasn't going to be able to wrestle and therefore probably not travel with the team, they concoct an angle where Steve Austin is so like, he's unpredictable. And he just, I think it was even on like Superstars of Wrestling. He attacks Pillman, unprovoked, attacks Pillman, and breaks his ankle by doing the chair. The chair spot, which famously from that point on was called Pillmanizing somebody's extremities.
Yeah.
So they took the ankle. Steve did the stomp off the second rope, re-injuring, re-breaking the ankle. But they're also not positioning either one as a face or a heel. It's basically, this is a way to kind of write Bryan off of television. But
Can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that spot that they did with the ankle and the chair, that's the first time I ever saw it. Was that had you ever seen that before that?
The only time that I had seen it would be in Crockett. If somebody had a broken arm, or if you want to do like a fake broken arm spot, you would take their arm and you would put it in the chair.
Okay.
They wouldn't come off the top. They would just like, you would just stomp on the chair on the canvas. Okay. And then that would be, the person rolls out of the ring and all that stuff. So yes, it had been around. It was not used to that point, and it was certainly not off the second rope in an unprovoked vicious attack.
Yeah. Okay.
So a week or two later, we're going to have, we got a Monday Night Raw. Pillman doesn't want to really be off TV immediately. So he concocts an idea that Vince Russo liked and McMahon liked. And we're going to do, Steve Austin is so dead set on ruining Brian Pillman's life that he's going to go over and break into Brian Pillman's house. And beat the shit out of him some more, I guess. And during the course of this Monday Night Raw in October of 1996, Kevin Kelly is on remote at Brian Pillman's home. Naturally. And they had eyes on Steve through like a helicopter overhead of Steve approaching. So like as we're going to like as we're getting closer to the confrontation, it is like I'm getting word that like Steve Austin is slowly approaching the home, and he'll be here any minute. Brian, what do you think? And Pillman and Melanie are sitting on his couch, and Pillman's got that crazy look in his eye, and he says, if Steve Austin gets anywhere near my home, Austin 316 is going to meet Pillman 9mm, and he produces the gun, the handgun, and now you've got like the camera gets all shaky. Kevin Kelly's losing his mind because now he's in the home. He's with Pillman, like interviewing him in the home, and the whole crew is in the home. They quickly cut to commercial. McMahon's going crazy. Jerry Lawler, oh my God. And then when they come back from commercial, now Steve Austin's finally appeared at the house, and he's beating up these alleged friends of Brian.
Yeah,
Pillman,
I don't know who those guys were.
And throwing them in baby pools, and these fat guys are just rolling around. And then he finally, like, you know, gets to the door and breaks the door, and you hear Steve, like, because it sounded like gunshots, but you're hearing Steve, like, breaking the window.
He's breaking the window to get into the back door.
To reach in, and they cut to the net. They jump cut to the scene, and Pillman's got the gun pointed right at him, and he's screaming, and Melanie's screaming, and everything's hysterical, and the camera's cut, and you're left, what just happened here?
And it goes to like static, right?
It goes to static. It's just jumpy chaos and then static. And you know, Vince is calling the commentary. He's like, and there was a match in the ring, I think, like while this is happening. So there's still
all
sort
this
of
is
like
happening while like Savio Vega is
right,
wrestling Aldo Montoya.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like the jobbiest of job guys are getting their feuds in. But it's
and then there's a murder.
Yeah, it's literally like the chaotic nature of this, and then the rest of it, they just had Kevin Kelly voiceovers calling in and saying like, well, you know, Steve Austin wasn't harmed. There were no shots, or there were just warning shots fired, and the police have been contacted, and they're gonna, you know, get Steve Austin off the premises, and hopefully, you know, And they followed up the next week on television, and you know, they recapped it. They recapped the thing to death, in my opinion. But it was like just the image of, on a pro wrestling show, somebody having a gun pointed in their house at another person was just like, you know, it happens, but it very much like it's something out of Cops, right?
Oh yeah,
it is. It's every element of like dramatic action television, and it's like it's the type of thing where like that Monday night, I remember watching it like live and like running to get a tape.
Oh yeah, 100%.
When I heard this was like that, like Austin was going to go to his house, and that's even before the gun comes out. I'm like, oh, this is actually going to be cool because, you know, blah blah blah. Austin's really hot right now, and taping it and then being like, all right, show's over. I got to rewind and go back and watch this again because there was something about like how electric that scene was and those scenes were. And it sucks that there was really no follow-up to that until...
Oh, because you just had simulated
possible murder
on
right?
television. Again, like when I say like, of course, like you watch John Wick, 900 people get shot in a movie.
Yeah.
But
it doesn't happen on your wrestling show.
Like, I guess it's the insinuation of like, this is real.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is what makes them have to go back and apologize or wind up like just being like, okay, maybe we went a little bit crazy on that one and we just dial it back from here. Because in movies, it's just like everyone knows this is not
everything. Yeah, this is
fiction.
It's played up for the action, the true action.
But in my opinion, shit like this is what makes this is what makes pro wrestling the coolest thing. Yeah. because one, what the fuck?
Yes.
One is what the fuck. Two is who was behind this.
Yes.
And three is, why does anyone truly get mad at this? Mm-hmm. Like that's the part that like makes me like it more.
Is that
like,
it did get people?
It's like people got riled up and they're
mm-hmm.
like, have we not gotten past the fact that we all know that this is a staged thing?
Yes. Which, you know, what's funny, like, and that's something I was thinking about during the day today, and I'm surprised that they haven't gone back to. I mean, yes, you really don't want to like tiptoe into reality and have like
firearms maybe a little bit too far.
A gun involved, but I mean,
especially in today's climate.
But that's what I'm saying. In today's,
back then, it wasn't as
right.
Prevalent as it is now.
But in today's climate, because there are more households that have guns, and they've done breaking. Obviously, we know that like AEW has done the breaking and entering angles. I'm surprised that there hasn't been some sort of at least somebody. Yeah, you could sit there in a rocking chair and burning somebody's house down. That's a pretty shocking image. But like the whole why wasn't we're thinking about the Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page angle. Why wasn't Hangman sitting on Swerve's porch with a shotgun?
Yeah,
that's the natural connection to Pillman as a gun to me, and I think they could play that up in a way where it makes sense.
WWE did it years later with the Triple H and Randy Orton thing, but they just didn't use fire. It was poorly done that time because it felt like they were trying to recreate this without
doing it in a very pro wrestling way.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, that's like 2007, 8, and it's like that's just bad.
Yeah.
Peak bad WWE. You know what I mean? But like they recreated it almost to the T, just minus
the
gun,
the real danger of it. Yeah.
But that was, I mean, I again like the last one. I love this as a kid, especially, but I think I love it more now because it's just so absurd.
It's so off the wall. Yeah,
it's so nuts.
Yeah,
I just wish that. Sometimes I wish that they just had like the ability to just like stand their ground and not back down to like social pressure.
I guess.
And just be like, you know what? Fuck you.
Just let it happen.
Next week, Brian Pillman's going to break into Steve Austin's house and he's going to have a bazooka.
Yes. Well, now it's a Tom and Jerry cartoon. Itchy and Scratchy come to Connecticut. So let's move on to the next angle on my list. Halfway through the list here, I'm going with one of my favorites, a good old fashioned Florida Championship Wrestling. Kevin Sullivan, the goddamn devil himself.
Oh no.
He's leading the Army of Darkness in a feud versus what they were calling the Family, which was Blackjack Mulligan is the head of the family.
Okay.
Barry Windham and Kendall Windham as his sons, and their brother from another mother, Dusty Rhodes, all intertwined versus the menagerie of the parade of human oddities, for lack of a better term, that Kevin Sullivan was in control of. So there's a match on television. This is from 84 actually. So this is kind of like the earlier part of the feud. And it's Dusty Rhodes versus the Purple Haze, Mark Lewin. And Kevin Sullivan is at ringside. Blackjack Mulligan's on commentary, keeping an eye just in case that old devil Kevin Sullivan sticks his nose in. I got Dusty's back, right? So they have like a regular wrestling match. At one point, Dusty does get busted open because the wind blew and opened up a cut. Dusty gets shit canned to the outside, run into the ring post. At that point, like Kevin Sullivan jumps in. They start to double team Dusty. Dusty's still sort of like fighting them off and holding his ground. So Mulligan's not rushing in yet. But then Kevin Sullivan produces the golden spike from either his trunks or his boot. And he's on one side of the ring and he's getting a head of steam to charge at Dusty. And Purple Haze has Dusty's chest exposed. Blackjack Mulligan hits the ring, rolls in, pushes Dusty out of the way, takes the golden spike to the chest. And now this is like this was something that like Sullivan was always threatening people, like, and he never got to like use the golden spike on anybody but like a jobber, right? And they, like on Florida television, like if he hit a jobber with it, they would like put the red X and they would censor it and shield you from the blood. But now Blackjack Mulligan just took the golden spike to the chest, and he could possibly be dead at this point. It's another fantastic like call by Gordon Soley about like that man has a family. That man was just here to watch Dusty's back, and unfortunately he got involved. And the worst thing, and Dusty is screaming as he's trying to like get people to like come and get Blackjack, back to get medical treatment. Sullivan goes back to the podium, and he's right next to Gordon, and Gordon Soley is berating him. How dare you do that? And Sullivan's like, the head of the family needs to be taken out. He had no business getting in that ring. Let Dusty Rhodes like suffer for his sins, and all the hyperbole, all of the shocking stuff that was coming out of Kevin Sullivan's mouth at the time. And he's again, it's another guy who's sinister, and he's cackling, and really like the crowd in the studio at the time is just like all of their attention is on Blackjack, and they're all like hushed and whatnot. But that was always a pretty vocal like studio audience that they had for those Florida shows. So when you could quiet that studio audience and you can make them believe that Blackjack might be seriously injured or have to be rushed to the hospital, everybody's like on the edge of their seat and leaning in to see if he makes it away in one piece. And I think they faded off, and then they had to recap it on television like for weeks and weeks after that. And led to the blow-off matches and the continuation of the feud. Shortly after that, Dusty went to the Carolinas, started booking for Jim Crockett. Mulligan was now in the territory with his sons to take on Sullivan and the Army. So it was a great way to pivot from one babyface to another babyface, but it was also like we're still proving that we can up the ante with Kevin Sullivan anytime, because he's driving the boat when it comes to this really dark character and the really dark angle. So it's shocking just for the way that the crowd sort of bought into it, and and they sold the spike better than anybody else in the ring could. No offense to Blackjack.
This is one that I'm not familiar with, and this is like one era of wrestling that I really want to go back and watch, because like the Kevin Sullivan Army of Darkness shit is like
it's right up your alley. It's
100%.
There's so many intertwined characters, and there's so many like believable stories that even like Sullivan himself on shoot interviews would talk about, like how like riled up he had the people. Like he was getting death threats in Florida because they had satanic panic, and they thought like it's right around the time that in the news media, you're hearing about like parents that are trying to ban rock and roll lyrics because they have satanic messages, and there's satanic images and music videos and all this other stuff. And Kevin Sullivan's like, this is going to be my character now. I'm going to be what they are afraid that their kids are turning into. I'm just going to be that, but from Boston or Singapore, whatever.
Same.
So yeah, I mean the golden spike, like Sullivan would he would bring the golden spike out every once in a while, and it would be this sort of like this final boss weapon. Like if Kevin Sullivan gets pushed too far, the golden spike's going to be used. So this was like the first real like introduction of that, and it certainly got that over as, oh my God, like Blackjack may never wrestle again, and we're off to the races with a new feud.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's a great one. I got a couple more. I'm going to stay with the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and I'm going to go to Jim Crockett Promotion, 1985 into 1986, and well into 1986 to tell the meat of this story. And it really starts in March of 85. A few months even before that, I think in either January or February, Tully Blanchard is on television. And Tully Blanchard is talking about his search for the perfect woman. My perfect 10. And he's like, I've been looking all over the country, and I finally found her. And he brings out Baby Doll on TV. And Baby Doll had been in World Class as Nicola Roberts, or sometimes Andrea the Lady Giant, which was just like, how more on the nose can we be? Because the girl's 6 feet tall. We're going to call her Andrea the Lady Giant in fucking Fritz's World Class. Okay, great. She is the sister-in-law of Jake the Snake Roberts, married to his half-brother, Sam Houston, who was a jobber for Jim Crockett at the time. So there's your background about where she came from. So she comes in with Tully. She's the perfect 10 Baby Doll, and she is immediately drawing the ire of all the fans because she's acting stuck up, but she's also a giant woman. She's taller than Tully Blanchard, and he's on television saying like, yeah, all 5'10" of them. But she's playing the heel, and she gets involved in his matches. And, well, what do you know? We're going to run into Dusty Rhodes, and we're going to have a feud over the television title. And they have a confrontation on television. Dusty's cutting a promo by himself, and he's talking about, his quest for the television belt and all this other stuff, and Tully Blanchard and that girl you got. And they come out on the TBS set. And, Dusty's still laying the bad mouth on her. And she says something along the lines of, where I come from, a man tips his hat to a lady. And immediately Dusty's like, well, I would tip my hat if there was a lady around here. And then you got the big pull apart between that kind of sets the tempo. So a few weeks later on the Mid-Atlantic TV show, there's a promo segment with Dusty's in the ring. He just finished the match, I think, a squash match on TV, and Tully's running him down from the set, and he's got Baby Doll with him at first over there with David Crockett, and they're laying the bad mouth on Dusty and like, how dare you disrespect my woman and this, that, and the other thing. So then Tully sends her to ringside and says, "Go give that man a piece of your mind and put him in his place." Which leads to the first time that Baby Doll got slapped. So Dusty Rhodes basically like he takes a
Dusty?
Yes. So Dusty's like she's in his face and she's pushing his chest with the finger and she slaps him and he takes one step back and he slaps her. And knocks her to the ground. And the people in the arena go fucking crazy. Like Dusty just won the world title.
Now this is the first angle I'm offended by.
This is Southern wrestling fans. So Southern wrestling fans, historically, if a woman gets out of place, she's going to get her comeuppance. And
Lord.
The people who did it tactfully, it was like, hey, there'd be another valet that would like take her out. Or somebody would just carry her backstage and she would kick and scream. This was sort of like, because they had done something similar in Memphis. Jerry Lawler was popping women all the time. So Dusty was like, well, I can do that too, baby. So he slaps Baby Doll, and then that just sets off the chain of events that, there was little angles like in and around this time too, where Dusty fucking before a match like ripped her shirt. This is like a house show in like Greensboro. He like ripped her shirt, and then her and Tully threw fire in his eyes. So like they're going back and forth. There's a lot of little incidents. So you get through all year. Tully eventually wins the United States title from Magnum TA. They start into a feud. Before we even get to that, the culmination of Tully and Dusty is for the World Television title in the summer.
Yeah. Okay.
And Tully loses the World TV belt to Dusty, and subsequently, Baby Doll has to be his valet for 30 days. She's as he said on television, she's my personal. He didn't say assistant. She's my personal.
I don't know what that means.
You use your imagination. So while all that's going on, and his like a great culmination to that angle is, and he's just basically humiliating her and like making her do chores around his house and like, and follow him to ringside and like, you had to sit in that chair. And then they would have like somebody else, like Magnum would like sit and make sure she didn't interfere in matches and stuff. But the culmination of it, they filmed a scene where she escapes from Dusty Rhodes' ranch and she jumps on a horseback and gallops out.
It sounds like the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It was literally something out of Dallas. So they end that little segment of it. As I said, he starts a feud with. He loses the TV belt, then he wins the U.S. belt later that summer and starts a feud with Magnum TA, which would culminate in the famous I Quit match, Starrcade 85. Yeah. One of the greatest matches of all time. Baby Doll throws in a chair. Tully breaks it and tries to stab Magnum in the eye with it. Magnum gets the upper hand, basically stabs Tully in the eye with it. Talk about a violent match. That is certainly a violent match for sure, and one of my top 10. It may make it on a playlist in the future. Stay tuned. So then we have the fallout of this across worldwide wrestling. In very early 86, Baby Doll had been away on vacation. She went to the Bahamas or something. And in that time that she was away, Tully Blanchard starts to pal around with James J. Dillon. He starts to wrestle in 6-man tags with the Andersons. We're starting to form the Four Horsemen here, which had been rumbling before, but now it's starting to actually take shape, and that's the situation we're going to do with the angle. So Baby Doll comes back to television on an episode of Worldwide, and Tully's like, well, I know you were on vacation, but I couldn't get a hold of you. You weren't answering my calls. I don't know where you are. I don't know who you're with. She catches wind. Oh, you're hanging out with J.J. Dillon. J.J. He's a loser. He's just a leech and a hanger-on. And J.J. Dillon's very nice at first. He's like, you know what? Your services are no longer needed in Tully Blanchard Enterprises. You're going to be officially fired. She protests too much, and Tully hauls off and slaps Baby Doll.
Jesus Christ, this poor woman
getting slapped countless times.
God.
But what that did is that sets now Dusty rescues Baby Doll, and now she's with him. She's back to being his personal, but she's happy about it now. And they go through almost the rest of the year as this partner in crime duo, inseparable, and that really that extends the feud with Tully, or revives the feud with Tully over the television belt, which Tully eventually won, and now he's a horseman, and that's the bigger story of play. If I told you the Baby Doll turned on Tully again, turned on Dusty again, I don't think there was a slap involved. Maybe she slapped him, but she did turn on him again.
This sounds like a P. Diddy situation.
Yeah. She did turn on him again, and she ended up with Ric Flair for a little while.
What the fuck, man? This poor woman.
Yeah.
Someone needs to rescue her.
Well, the saga kind of drifted out from there. But yeah, really, there are a couple of different on the playlist. I put a couple different Tully and Dusty and Baby Doll scenes and angles just to tell the story of the three physical confrontations, or the beginning of the feud, and then the Dusty slap, and then the Tully slap, which set it off into the other motion. So that's absolutely
that can never be done.
It was a saga. Yeah, there was too much women slapping. They will do and obviously we'll do matches with women, and there's going to be some physicality. Somebody's going to accidentally get clotheslined, but
that's more acceptable because it's they're willing participants.
Yes, you're in a match.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're part of a match.
This is just Hey,
I don't like you. Clank. Here's a concussion
what
because
the
you
fuck?
mouthed off at me. And the crowd, again, this North Carolina
Yeah,
crowd
the
was
crowd
just like,
is into
Dusty, you're the best. It's like, whoa, you gotta look yourself in the mirror, guys. I'm on Tully's side on this one until he slapped her. But he's a heel. The last angle that I'm going to talk about is another one that was an absolute mind fuck. That we've discussed on this show before, so I won't go into I'll go into enough detail so everybody kind of understands it, but it's a pretty famous angle from, I want to say 1990, is this 92? 91.
Yeah.
91,
Oh, yeah.
1991.
Yeah, 92.
No, it's
well,
not
91
it's
into 92.
91 into 92. So 1991, summer of 1991. So the Macho Man Randy Savage gets bitten by Jake the Snake Roberts' snake. Starts all the way back. Randy Savage has to retire from wrestling because he loses to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7. Best match of Ultimate Warrior's career. One of the best of Savage's career. But during the fall, I'm sorry, not during the fall, but during like the spring and the summer, the Ultimate Warrior starts to like get involved with Jake Roberts, and he wants Jake Roberts to teach him the art of psychological warfare because he's going against the Undertaker and Paul Bearer, and he wants to be like, without being totally evil, he wants to just, get some of the darkness. So Jake the Snake is his little darkness, and he keeps giving him challenges. There's a stage scene where Jake Roberts locks the Ultimate Warrior in a room with a King Cobra. And this is like, before this, like, Roberts had lost one of his snakes because Earthquake sat on him.
Yeah, classic.
And
Damien.
And so Jake was in search of a new snake, and that sort of like, that broke his brain for a while. So
Can we just I know where we're going with this.
Quake Burgers.
Look, can we just delve into the ridiculousness of this is the guy who is obsessed with snakes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. He's got it in his name.
Psychologically, he is trying
cunning
to
like a
mind
snake.
fuck you.
Yes.
And then a big fat man sits on his snake.
Yes, it's devastating.
Kills it.
Kills it dead. Yeah. Smashes it.
Just mush.
Mm-hmm.
Turns it to mush. So then he enlists a new snake who is a venomous King Cobra.
Yes. Right. When you're that broken, the only thing you do is like, I'm really up in the ante now. I'm going to become like,
I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy with a python.
Yeah. Right.
But this fat man sat on my python.
I'm mad.
So now I'm an evil guy with a cobra.
Now I've got it. Now I found a cobra. And I can now, because I'm Jake the Snake, I can figure out a cobra pretty quickly. Who else is going to handle this cobra in this company? Coco Beware?
And people say that wrestling isn't real.
It makes sense to me. So yes, in the lead up to his eventual heel turn, there is the segment where the Ultimate Warrior gets locked in a room with, I think, multiple cobras, but one specifically that comes out of like basically cartoon style, just like shows up out of a and just shows up out of a the wicker basket and like spits at him, and he get the venom in his eyes. When he comes to, or as he's fading away, he sees that Jake the Snake Roberts is like, fight the venom. And then the Undertaker comes in the frame and he's like, fuck these assholes. They just got a cobra to spit at me. That's not the angle that I'm talking about. But this is this is the direction
that is controversial for how horrible it is.
Yes. The editing was subpar. So Jake's being a scumbag. And as any scumbag would do, Macho Man Randy Savage wants to get married to Elizabeth at Madison Square Garden as the main event of SummerSlam. I'm underlining that the main event of SummerSlam was a marriage.
Yep.
So then the wedding reception happens, and Jake wasn't invited to the wedding reception, but he sent a gift.
I wonder why.
But I mean, he was being an asshole. Ultimate Warrior just got spit in the face by a cobra. So anyway, so he sent a gift though, and him and the Undertaker are like, "We're gonna crash this wedding reception. Watch us." Because it's being held at the garden. Because it's being held at the garden or around the garden, all the boys can go. Anyway,
the old Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, right.
The
yeah.
WWF.
Yes. Macho wedding crashers. There they are. So they show up, and for some reason, and this has never happened at a wedding that I've been. Randy and Liz are opening up their gifts at the wedding.
Yeah, on television.
On television. And he's like, well, Randy's like, oh, a gravy boat. No, he's hilarious. He's fucking hilarious through this whole thing. Just getting psyched for like the things that he got. And he's throwing the ribbons in the air. And then Elizabeth finally opens another box. And guess what it is? Cobra.
Oh.
And now Jake the Snake and the Undertaker are like, hey, we're here. Fuck you. Cobra time. So the Cobra didn't bite anyone. Again, it's the goofy like cut angles where Elizabeth is screaming. Then it's like, oh, Cobra, like obviously like not in the room with them.
Like a Cobra in Minneapolis.
There's no way they had Cobra via satellite. Because no way Liz would have been in the same room as the Cobra. She saw that it spat at the Ultimate Warrior and sent him packing.
Yeah.
So Cobra and now Jake the Snake and the Undertaker are smashing Randy Savage with a chair, and then Sid Justice of all people has to come and like save the day, and chase everybody off and like back Jake the Snake up with a chair, which leads to Randy Savage going on this campaign. He wants to be reinstated as an active wrestler in time to wrestle Jake the Snake at Survivor Series, and we've got promos between the two of them. They did have house show matches, so they were ready for this to be like, you know, Randy wrestled under a mask as like Mr. Madness or something. So they were getting ready for the feud. And to really like put it over the top, Survivor Series was on a Wednesday. The Saturday before Superstars of Wrestling, Randy Savage is a commentator with Piper and Vince McMahon. What a nightmare commentary booth, by the way. The three of them are just screaming over each other and just gimmick voices all over the place. It's fucking 1991. There are highs and lows in WWF in 1991. That commentary team was low, brother. So anyway, there's a particular squash match. Jake the Snake puts his guy away. He's ready to bring out the Cobra and like terrorize the guy. And Savage is like, I'm not taking this anymore. I'm going down there. And Vince is like, you're not reinstated. He's like, I don't care. Like I have to go like, take care of Jake the Snake Roberts. So foolish Randy Macho Man Savage gets goaded into this. Roberts beats the shit out of him. And when I say beats the shit out of him at ringside, like runs him into the post, does the short clothesline into the post, which is a cool looking spot. Does not give him DDTs or anything, but like beats him up enough, gets him to the rope. Now Savage is also in cowboy boots, spectacular like pink and green cowboy boots.
But he's in like full gimmick.
Yeah, he's in Randy Macho Man. The back of his shirt says "Reinstate me," but he's like slipping and sliding a little bit because he's not wearing like sneakers or wrestling boots, right? So he doesn't really have footing. He gets tied up in the second and the third rope, and now you're right for the picking. So Jake's opens up the bag. Cobra time. Now this isn't like backstage shit. This is live ass.
No,
this is live ass Cobra.
Live.
And you can see the Cobra in the ring, and it presents itself, and it's like what? And again, like when I first saw this, it's like a teenager. I'm like, oh, this is scary. Like this is like a horror movie come to life. It's not hokey like the other stuff with the Undertaker and Jake the Snake and the Ultimate Warrior. This is getting a little bit too. And you're thinking like, well, somebody's going to come in and cut it off. Nuh-uh. Jake the Snake can barely like keep the cobra straight, but he finally gets the cobra over to Randy Savage, bites him on the arm. Blood just drawn immediately and this fucking cobra is gnawing into his arm. And it's
like multiple bites.
Oh, it's gross. Like Jake's got to like basically like drag this thing off of Savage at a certain point when he wants it to release. And finally, like Piper comes with a chair, and you know the rest of the backstage agents and referees and stooges are like tending to Macho Man and everything. But the Cobra Bite thing was just, it was, I had never seen anything like that on television. You could pile drive managers, you can slap women, well, you shouldn't slap women, but you know, you would seen that's probably as shocking as it got at that point. And now you have like it in your eyes, not knowing the backstage, hey, Jake actually like let the cobra bite his leg.
Yeah, you don't know that
you don't know those backstage stories
and all that stuff.
And Vince is getting that over on television. He's like, I really hope that is devenomized, and you know the WWF officials wouldn't let him carry the snake out here if it wasn't devenomized. And it's like, but it's still gnawing on the man's arm, and it's like and like they eventually like had to like censor it like on repeat airings because it was. But like,
dude, this was airing at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah, but when they were airing it on like USA during like primetime wrestling, it's after 8 o'clock. So yeah, you're able to actually show like the bite and the blood and all of that stuff. So they got very creative with where they were going to re-air this thing. And the angle kept going on. We've talked about this angle that it should have kept going on a lot longer. But it led to eventually like Savage does get reinstated. They have the match at Tuesday in Texas. The week after Survivor Series, Elizabeth gets slapped. We have more Cobra antics at that point. And it's just threatening to bring the Cobra out, and Savage gets himself like distraught. Great promos, you know, finally leading up to the blow-offs. But like that Cobra angle, for me as a young fan, I was like, I've never seen anything like this before. This is wild. This is like, yeah, when he was first a heel, like people would foam from the mouth because the boa constrictor was allegedly squeezing them, or the python was squeezing them. But then he's got a cobra, and it's like, I know more about how scary cobras are than anything.
Yes.
From science class, and it's like Randy Savage might die, so you don't want that on your hands. But that made for incredible television.
Unbelievable.
Like scary heat. They did a fantastic job. Like, again, that was taped for television, but it was shown multiple times, chopped up versions. You always had the crowd reaction, and you didn't have to like sweeten up the booze for Jake the Snake. It was like, people were genuinely frightened.
That's the most frightening thing I've ever seen in wrestling, because so you and I are a little bit different in age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think I was 3 years old when I saw that.
Nope.
I'm not even I may have saw that in real time, because my parents, they didn't understand. Like, I just liked wrestling.
Yes.
I like
fun of wrestling.
I like the bright colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They didn't understand that a guy was about to get eaten by a snake on live television.
Yeah, a cobra's gnawing a man's arm.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, in your head, you're like, what in the world is going on?
But
I was terrified. I hated Jake the Snake forever.
Oh, he's the scariest man in the company.
This guy is going to kill someone.
Yeah, yes, yeah. He's very dangerous. But again, the lore behind it, and like upon reviewing it in an adult brain,
it still holds up.
It's a type of thing that it's still sort of like you still cringe a little bit. It still shocks you a little bit. And
because regardless of whether or not that's a venomous snake or not, just watching someone get bitten by an animal, it's got like this visceral, and when you see it's really biting them,
right,
and it's drawing blood, no matter
chomping
what,
down on his arm.
If it's a a snake, if it's a dog, if it's a cat, if it's a fish, it doesn't matter what it is. Just seeing, because in most circumstances where someone is being harmed in a wrestling ring and blood is being drawn, it's of their own volition.
Yes. Yeah.
When you know that it's like, this is a
There's
legit,
no way to gimmick,
this is a real life situation.
Right.
Outside, they're allowing a real life situation to take place in a wrestling ring. That's where it's like, Jesus Christ,
bro. Yeah, they really pushed the envelope with it.
Like the fact that you're allowing this to happen, you're willing to do this is crazy.
But you also know you're making compelling television with it.
Unbelievable.
That your competition would never do. No other, like.
And this is very out of character for the WWF at that time.
Yes.
At that time, it was so out of character.
It was very cartoon and comic booky. And then you have this that happened. And I'm
surprised that Vince allowed this to go down, honestly.
Well, that's the beauty of Jake. Jake sold it, and Jake was like, I know exactly what I'm doing with this. Trust me. I'm gonna, I'm talking to Randy. Randy's on board because I'm gonna let Snake bite me first. And make sure it's devenomized, and we're gonna have the snake expert. Like, he's part of the people that runs out, So like, if it really did get out of hand, like, they probably could have been able to get the snake back in the bag pretty quickly, but it's still like it's a wild scene, and again,
absolutely,
it has to be on a controversial angle. You will never see something like that again.
No way.
Maybe a dog bite here or there, like if somebody were to do that. We've seen horses kick people on TV, mascots, take elbows, but the physically seeing a dangerous snake in action is, whew. Again, as a young viewer, I mean, you were younger than I, but as a young viewer for me, I was like, well, I'm not going anywhere near snakes anymore. Not that I was going near them before, but I'm like, I'm officially not, because if they can make the Macho Man bleed like that, I'm in no shape or form to going anywhere near it. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it on my list. A lot of great angles, a lot of like really compelling stuff on television for anybody who watches that playlist, will get some interesting stuff. Whether you know it or whether this is like your first time checking out these angles, you can go back also and a lot of the source material that we pull from are great resources, like the other YouTube pages that have like full matches from these time frames. So like there's a lot of the Dusty Rhodes, Tully Blanchard, like their TV matches, and some of their eventual like higher profile Big Show matches are up on YouTube. Obviously, we've seen Jake the Snake and Savage, Kevin Sullivan in Florida. There's a whole compilation of Kevin in Florida stuff that's great to watch. So yeah, I encourage anybody to use it as a way to go down a rabbit hole and check out some of the follow-ups to these controversial angles.
This is a fantastic, like, educational, like, episode, because most of it I was aware of, some of it I'm not, but being able to go back and see some of this stuff, I wish that we were in a time and age, not abusing women, but some of the other stuff. I wish that we were able to pull the reality of some of this other stuff into like today's wrestling, modern, because if you could do some of this stuff in like the modern day, I think you would really
you create some buzz.
You would create some buzz, and you'd get some eyes on the product.
Yeah, I tend to agree. So with that being said, that'll put a stamp on this particular episode. Thank you for going down memory lane with me, Tom. This was a lot of fun to put them together. Playlists are up and ready to review, and I guess that's it. So for Tom and for me, we hope you have a great night, and we will see you guys at the matches.